Welcome everyone to the 10th anniversary of Surrey Muse. We are 10 years old. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Surrey Muse. Happy birthday to you. Surrey Muse is an interdisciplinary art and literature presentation group. It meets every fourth Friday of the month except for December. And we feature an author, a poet, and a performer, each for 20 minutes. And when we met at the library in person, we'd usually have a 10-minute discourse period after each feature, which we skipped in the virtual version. So we, right after the features, present it's actually a new segment that we've started a few months ago called Just Released. So we invite peers and artists from the community who've just released a new book or a new album, in any of the disciplines. And that's a 10-minute presentation. And after that, we have our open mic opener to start the open mic, and they have 10 minutes as well. And then we follow up with 3 to 5 minute pieces from open mic presenters. The program for Surrey Muse is, it has a rhythm of 6 months. So the program is organized ahead of time, and it's sort of a lottery process. But the open mic pieces, they're gathered within the month of the presentation, whereas the featured presenters are gathered or determined 6 months ahead of time. We publish the program every 6 months, and so you get to see who will be coming up. And because of that too, we have time and we create bios for each of our features, and it's just the open mic presenters that we don't have usually populate a bio for. When we are able to meet again at the library, just to let you know, we've enjoyed the virtual gatherings and their own strengths so much that we will continue to put out a virtual show on YouTube. When we begin to gather again, we'll produce video from it. We've weathered a storm with our works, still sharing our works. I've listened to some incredible poetry, storytelling, and music videos I've seen through these last 2 years almost that we've been gathering online. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Jovian and Radheshwar, and I'll be back to introduce the presenters to you. Enjoy the show, and please remember, if you ever feel like it, just email surrey.muse@gmail.com for open mic submissions within any month except for December, and make recommendations. If you would like to feature or someone you know, email. Thank you so much.
Hello, my name is Jovian Radheshwar, and on behalf of Surrey Muse Art Society, I would like to make the following announcement for November 16th, 2021. To celebrate our 10th anniversary this month, Surrey Muse Art Society is introducing 5 art and literature awards in the areas of poetry, fiction, nonfiction, music, and visual arts. Beginning in November of 2022, these countrywide annual awards will be open to Canadian citizens, landed immigrants, permanent residents, refugees, and international students. Submissions will begin in June of 2022 with a special $10 anniversary entry fee. Prize money will be $1,000 each. Winners will be selected by independent judges. Submission guidelines and other details will be made available in the spring of 2022. The awards are as follows: the Vera Manuel Award for Poetry, the Joy Kogawa Award for Fiction, the Susan Crean Award for Nonfiction, Faith Nolan Award for Music, and Norval Morrisseau Award for Visual Arts. In naming these awards, we pay tribute to Vera Manuel, Joy Kogawa, Susan Crean, Faith Nolan, and Norval Morrisseau for their talents, skills, understandings, and struggles. Each one, through their art, has pointed to historic injustices and inequalities in our society, and in that they are miracle makers creating art at once of resistance and healing. As well, for us, naming Surrey Muse Awards in honor of such unique artists brings forth the diversity and scope of Canadian art and literature, giving us a wonderful opportunity to fulfill our mandate of nurturing art and literature by encouraging an inclusive, fair, and equal cultural environment. The estate of Norval Morrisseau, quote, wishes to congratulate Surrey Muse Art Society for presenting the first ever Norval Morrisseau Award for Visual Arts. We look forward to following this program, and we thank Surrey Muse Art Awards for their hard work and dedication to young artists, end quote, which is from Corey Dingle, the CEO of the estate of Norval Morrisseau. Vera Manuel, who lived from 1948 to 2010, has written Butterfly Woman and is a poet, a playwright, a drama therapist in British Columbia, has worked through the intergenerational trauma of residential schools and its impact on individuals and communities using her poetry, drama, stagecraft, spoken word, and storytelling. For years, Vera said, I used my poetry as a tool to help people to heal and never thought to publish it or use it for any other purpose. Her play, The Strength of Indian Women, was published in 2 plays about Indian residential schools in 1998 and again in 2018. Her writings were anthologized and published in magazines. However, most of her work was published posthumously in honoring the strength of Indian women, plays, stories, poetry of Vera Manuel, put out by the University of Manitoba Press in 2019. We dedicate the Poetry Award to Vera Manuel to express our gratitude for her undying, healing, and passionate poetic voice. Please look at abcbookworld.com for further information about Vera Manuel. Joy Kogawa is a novelist, a writer, and a poet born in 1935 to Japanese-Canadian parents in Vancouver in World War II. In 1942, young Joy and her family were evicted from their home and forced to move to an internment camp. An aggression suffered at the time by some 22,000 Japanese Canadians. Years later, Joy challenged this historic injustice in a profound and masterful exposition, her 1981 novel, Obasan. Her art compelled a public recognition of this issue, highlighting the power of the written word. Later, her ancestral home was developed as a writer's residence titled the historic Joy Kogawa House. Joy was made a member of the Order of Canada in 1986, a member of the Order of British Columbia in 2006, and in 2010, she received the Order of the Rising Sun from Japan. We dedicate the Fiction Award to Joy Kogawa to express our awe for her disarmingly simple yet utterly profound art of storytelling. www.joykogawa.ca. Susan Crean is a cultural critic, author, and activist working in British Columbia and Ontario for over 30 years. A pioneer of creative nonfiction in Canada, Susan's expertise in Canadian history, art, and culture is evident in her essays, biographies, and memoir. She is the author of 7 books. The first, Who's Afraid of Canadian Culture, appeared in 1976, while her next major work, The Laughing One, A Journey to Emily Carr, was nominated for a Governor General's Award and won a BC Book Prize in 2001. Susan published her memoir, Finding Mr. Wong, in 2018, a work that recreates the life of her family's cook, Wong Dong Wong. It reached the top 10 list of best Canadian history books by Canada's History magazine. We dedicate the Nonfiction Award to Susan Crean and her artistic expression that gives a warm and passionate voice to her factual narrative. SusanCrean.ca. Faith Nolan is a singer, songwriter, filmmaker, and arts activist of Black Mi'kmaq Irish heritage who was born in Afriqueville, Nova Scotia, settling in Toronto, Ontario. A self-taught musician, she has recorded 16 CDs exploring themes of human rights and social change. Her music has been described as a mix of blues, folk, and jazz, with a taste of funk and reggae. To Faith, her music is her political work, and her politics is firmly rooted in her perspectives as a coal miner's daughter, working class, mixed race, and queer. Faith has founded various choirs, music groups, and organizations in Ontario, including CUPE Freedom Singers, Voices of Freedom Vanier Women Prisoner Singers, and the Singing Elementary Teachers of Toronto to create music for children from various cultures. We dedicate the Music Award to Faith Nolan for her compelling musicality that holds the rhythms and lyrics of her revolutionary songs. faithnolan.org. Norval Morrisseau, who lived from 1932 to 2007, also known as Copper Thunderbird, who founded the Woodland School of Art, is also called the grandfather of contemporary Indigenous art in Canada. In the 1960s, Morrisseau shattered societal, sexual, and commonly held stereotypes and prejudices in the face of intense discrimination. He created a style that was all his own, an artistic vocabulary that inspired a new art movement. A prominent member of the Indian Group of Seven, in 1978 he was made a member of the Order of Canada. He was a member of the Royal Canadian Academy of Arts, where he was given a posthumous Lifetime Achievement Award in 2008. He is the only Indigenous artist to have also had a solo exhibition in the National Gallery of Canada. We dedicate the Visual Arts Award to Norval Morrisseau to express our gratitude for the color, the shapes, and the tremendous depth he gave to Canadian visual art. www.officialmorrisseau.com. And finally, we, the Surrey Muse, are an interdisciplinary art and literature presentation group that was founded by 4 artists of color in Surrey in November of 2011. Mandated to inclusivity and equality, it held 3-hour salon-style monthly gatherings featuring authors, poets, and artist performers with discussions and open mic sessions. In 2016, for its 5th anniversary, 2 additional programs were introduced, Surrey Muse at Large and Surrey Muse Writers. The group registered itself as Surrey Muse Art Society in 2019. In the words of Rundeep, co-founder and secretary-treasurer, Surrey Muse has done an amazing job over the past 10 years. It has built a community where none existed before. Its success is evident both in the fact that it has been taking place month to month for the past 10 years with a positive response from and participation by its community. Its community has continued to grow, which only speaks to its importance. Please check us all out at surreymuse.wordpress.com. And you can also find a growing video archive of literature and art on the Surrey Muse YouTube channel. And there are links to over 250 artist profiles at surreymuse.wordpress.com/people, and a collection of original art and design of Surrey Muse posters also on the Surrey Muse's WordPress website. The Surrey Muse would like to acknowledge that it takes place on the unceded lands of the Coast Salish nations, and these nations occupied this land and lived here long before what we call Canada today came into existence. And we live on these lands which are occupied, and this means something very important for all of us, both individually and as a community, as we contemplate really what truth and reconciliation is, really what land back is, and really what justice is on earth in our lifetimes.
Our featured author tonight is Darcie Friesen Hossack. She is a writer, editor, and publisher who was the nominated author for the Commonwealth Writers' Prize in 2011 for her collection of short stories titled Mennonites Don't Dance. That also was a runner-up for the Donata Gleed Award in the same year. Darcie has created a global online literary journal titled Word City Monthly under the banner of UNESCO Rila affiliate poet Mabizo Chirasha's Time of the Poet Republic. Darcie lately completed a novel called Stillwater, where in North Okanagan Valley of British Columbia, for a family with a Mennonite mother and a Seventh-day Adventist father, the end times are just around the corner. Darcie is a graduate of the Humber School for Writers. You can view her webpage at Word City Monthly. Visit Darcie on Facebook. Welcome, Darcie Friesen Hossack.
My name is Darcie Friesen Hossack from just outside the east gates of Jasper National Park in Alberta, and I'm so pleased to join you again here today at the Surrey Muse Art Society. I want to thank you for having me and say a special thank you to Fozia Rafike for her kind support. I also want to say that my thoughts are with all the people who have been affected by the recent flooding in British Columbia. BC was my home for 25 years, and in most ways my heart still lives there. My first book, Mennonites Don't Dance, was published by Thistledown Press, shortlisted for the Commonwealth Writers' Prize and the Ontario Library Association's Forest of Reading Award. It was also the runner-up for the Donata Gleed Award, and I now have a novel making its way through the querying process with publishers, so I hope it finds a home soon and I can share that with readers. I recently gave a talk to a university creative writing class where I told the students that back when I was young and in their place, I made the mistake of not taking any creative writing classes. I had grown up being told that the arts were selfish, an indulgence, and that artists were a drain on society. I was told that I needed to become a nurse or a secretary or a dry cleaner or something else that was in service of other people, as though the arts are not in service of other people. Nothing about what I was taught could have been further from the truth, of course, because creative writing is one of the most important and influential things a person can ever hope to do in a society. I once heard from a young man who, after reading the stories in Mennonites Don't Dance along with his mother, was able to have a certain difficult conversation with her for the first time in their lives. They talked about how difficult it had been for him to be raised in a Mennonite ethos with its patriarchy and often grim acceptance of suffering. Finally, his mother understood what he had been trying all his life to say. And that, I hope, is the power of fiction. And so I told these creative writing students to write and keep writing, because telling stories allows us to speak truths in ways that other people can understand, not just with their minds and through the lens of their ideologies and other beliefs, but with their empathy. I don't know which story may have resonated in particular with that son and mother, but I like to imagine that it might have been this one. This is Year of the Grasshopper from Mennonites Don't Dance. So many grasshoppers that year, enough that 2 or 3 were found clinging to the head of each stalk of wheat in the fields, and not enough poison in the country for even Saskatchewan to be rid of them. A farmer might as well have fired birdshot into his crops for all the good it would do to spray, or send my brothers to pull the insects' legs off, crippling them so that when they snapped their wings they'd fall back to the ground, unable to achieve flight without the advantage of hop. There was a time when I was very young that I might have thought this cruel, but I came to hate the insects so feverishly that years later, when there were only a few, I'd cross the street to avoid a grasshopper on the sidewalk. That year the country was choked with them, their smell like burnt hair, sunsets were blacked out, voices of birds swallowed by the noise of a swarm that single-mindedly ate as one. I was an ignorant child and didn't understand why my grandpa and uncle stood clenched-fisted as their work was devoured, when they prayed for relief and when it didn't come, for faith. I didn't need to visit the farm. I might have stayed in town with my mom and played inside the house, but I would have missed petting the friendly barn cats as they sunned their fur and lazily swatted the occasional grasshopper out of the air. And I wouldn't have been able to help my grandpa with his chores or go with him in his big Ford truck that smelled sweetly of manure and hay to count cows in the summer pasture. Whenever I walked with my grandpa, the grasshoppers would jump out of the way in front of us as though the path was being peeled. I rode in the grain trucks and combine, too, during the harvest of what was left, and held my breath to keep from panicking whenever a grasshopper flung itself through an open window and pivoted to look at me with its black bead eyes. My grandpa grinned, his face wrinkled and bristly with white whiskers, as he reached over to pinch it dead and pop it back outside. After what little grain there was spilled into the auger, I rode an old-fashioned bicycle up and down the gravel road through Schoenfeld, my grandparents' village. I spread my arms and legs pretending they were wings and laughed when the grasshoppers parted in front of the wheels. This was the first summer I went to visit my other grandparents, who lived 100 miles away in Fox Valley, where there was no valley and I didn't see any foxes. Some things, the grasshoppers, the stunted quilts of wheat they fed on, appeared the same, but everything that mattered was different. My new grandparents had ways of doing things that made me feel small and underfoot. They didn't need my help. One morning, I followed my new grandfather, expecting to go with him out into the fields, but he left me on the porch and drove away. I noticed that the grasshoppers didn't part for him, but were crushed under his boots when he walked, and when he drove his truck through them, they stirred up into a storm. As I stood on the cement steps, the grasshoppers began to settle. The insects he'd trampled twitched, their legs stirring through their yellow eggs and entrails. My feet felt glued to the porch. I pictured myself taking a step, pulling away from the imaginary adhesive, which would stretch like gum between my shoes and the cement, then down the 3 stairs while the bones in my legs jellied. I closed my eyes and tried to make the scene turn out differently, the way my first grandpa seemed able to make the grasshoppers move aside, the way they parted in front of my bike. With my fingers rolled up into fists, I took one step, another. The nearest grasshopper tensed, squat with readiness to jump, but instead of letting me through, they sprung up and snapped their wings, thousands in every direction, dipping and swerving erratically with each stroke. The nearest ones pitched themselves against my legs and scrabbled to cling to my bare skin with their spiny elbows. More grasshoppers replaced them as they fell away. Others latched onto my socks and the hem of my shorts, shuffling their wings closed under their scabby backs. They stared up at me, their eyes hard, mouths miming the action of devouring. I took another step and, trying to brush the insects away, only excited more of them to spatter against me, land higher and higher against my waist, my back, my chest. They grasped and scraped their way over my arms, into my shorts, under my shirt, and into my hair. I looked in the direction my grandfather had gone, but knew in this place I was alone. So 2 weeks ago, back in that creative writing class, I was asked why I became a writer. And while there are so many reasons, the most enduring is that I myself need to make sense of my life. I need to make sense of my family and our religion. I need to make sense of my experiences and also the society that I live in. I feel the need not only to create stories, but a need to be heard and try to bend others towards understanding. Lately, I took a departure from the strict literary fiction I usually write and played with a bit of magic realism. What is still the same is that I use the story to explore an experience and transform it into something that others might be able to understand as part of their own experience or that of others. This story, published in The Archer magazine earlier this year, is called Wallpaper. The moment Michaela saw it, she knew the wallpaper in the entryway of her mother's new house was a door to another world. And with its snaking swirls of gold foil and raised black velvet, it couldn't lead anywhere good. We should scrape this off, Michaela said, running her fingers along the wall to see if she could sense anything about the other side. Do you really think we need to? Michaela's mother said. Michaela's fingers trembled a little against the velvet. Yeah. It's not even a big area. We could have it down today if we rented a steamer right now. Your stepfather says he likes it, though. That's when Michaela felt it. A touch, just the slightest pressure against her fingertips, along with a crackle of slippery energy that scurried up her arm and left her dripping to her elbow with a wet sort of cold. Let's go to the Home Hardware, Michaela said, wiping her hand on her jeans. I'll bet they have a steamer in stock. I don't know, Mish. I'll help you pick out paint colors. At the store, Michaela went straight to the rental counter and put a steamer on hold. Her mother loved Home Hardware, especially the decor section with its fancy curtain rods and whimsical signs. A hug would make my day, said one that was already in her mother's basket, and seeing it, Michaela took an unintentional step back. This is a nice color, Michaela's mother said. They were in the paint section, standing in front of an amphitheater of tinted chips, when suddenly Michaela was presented with a pink-colored slip of paperboard in 3 shades of Easter Bunny. How about this, Michaela said, reaching for a blue from the store's heritage collection. It's old but new, and see, it would go really well with this ivory one. She paused. You wouldn't believe how what's on a wall can affect you. Michaela handed the chips to her mother, who looked at them for a few seconds while chewing the underside of her lip. I guess maybe we don't have to decide today, she said before almost putting the chips back in her pocket. Oh, but no. They are to take with us, though, aren't they? Yes, Mum. We can take as many as we need. Well, that's nice of them. But I don't know that I need these ones, then, she said, and carefully placed the blue and ivory cards back where Michaela had found them. At first, it seemed like the wallpaper was not going to put up much of a fight. Even without the steamer, Michaela found an edge that lifted up with ease, and she was about to peel it back. What's that for? Her stepfather said, having come unnoticed home for lunch from the meat-packing plant. He pointed at the steamer, which was already filled with water and coughing out the occasional little cloud of vapor. It's to take this down. Darryl moved in close and ran his hand slowly against the grain of the velvet. Did you ask me first? I did not, Michaela said, and ripped off a strip. As she did, she received a sharp swipe from the other side that left 3 invisible stripes across the back of her hand. Damn it, Michaela said. Along with the wallpaper, she had also gouged out a chunk of the wall. Fucking little shit, Darryl said, fingering the hole Michaela had left behind. Leaving her for a moment, he went to the kitchen and dragged over one of the chairs they had brought from the house across the street. He sat down with his arms crossed and one leg bouncing with irritation. "You know, we practically lived over there for free," he said. "Your mother only bought this place so you'll come visit more often." Michaela crouched down, picked up the steamer, and applied it to the wall. "Mom went over there for a minute. She's going to be right back." From behind the wallpaper, as she dragged the steamer wand across its surface, Michaela heard a low and rasping sort of growl. This time, when she tried to get her fingers around the scrap of edge, the paper was more stubborn. Michaela had to pick at it with her fingernails, and when a little more paper finally came away, it was with another chunk of wall. Michaela could feel, more than hear, her stepfather grinding his teeth. "I wonder what your mother will think of that," he said, as an ooze of something smelled but not seen began to seep out from under where the paper had been torn. Michaela held the steamer in place longer this time, but had begun to suspect that the wallpaper was being held there with something other than paste. As she continued to steam, she felt a breath on her face, hot and sour, and from over in his chair, Darryl took another swallow from a bottle that he fetched from his pocket. "Want some?" he said. "I'm 18. Michaela said, the sickening smell of rye mingling with the breath from inside the wall. She set down the wand and started to peel another strip. Even when a hand emerged, its skin a camouflage of scorched black and pulsing veins of gold, and wrapped its fingers around her wrist, Michaela continued to peel. When she peeled back another strip, another clump of drywall crumbled to the floor. "God, you're useless," Darryl said, and took a sandwich from inside his jacket. "It's your favorite," he said, wafting the smell of head cheese and strong mustard towards Michaela. Michaela could almost taste the first time he had made her eat head cheese, all knucklebone jelly and offcuts of meat. "I'm a vegetarian," Michaela said, receiving a snort in exchange for her words. Michaela stepped back to look at what she had done so far, knowing she was about to reach the most dangerous time. "Oh, but what's happened here?" said Michaela's mother, returning with a grilled cheese sandwich for Michaela and one for herself. "Oh, Darryl, I didn't know you'd be coming home for lunch. Thought you two might like some company." "That's nice," said Michaela's mother, biting again at her lip. "I hope you don't mind about the wallpaper," Michaela thought. "Whatever the two of you decide," Darryl said, getting up, then returning moments later to hand Michaela a bottle of Coke. When he did, a slow, scraping laugh escaped from the other side of the wall. "You could help, you know," Michaela said, setting down the bottle and returning to the wall. Each time she peeled now, Michaela felt her hands become covered in the fluid from before, which she wiped invisibly away onto a series of yellowed rags. "I prefer to watch you work," Darryl said, and a set of sharpened fingernails grated against the back of the velvet and foil. A few minutes later, Michaela had removed an entire vertical seam when her mother came alongside and squeezed out a ribbon of toothpaste into one of the gashes Michaela had made. "This is how we did it back home," her mother said, and for one fresh moment, Michaela breathed in the reassuring smell of mint. It was not, however, enough to cover a now sulphurous stench exuding from behind the paper. "Doesn't anyone smell that?" Michaela said. "I think you're going to need more than just toothpaste for this one," Darryl said, lighting a cigarette and coming over to inspect the damage. "I think they may have used glue to put this up," Michaela said when her mother left the room and Darryl came to stand behind her. "These old walls, you never know what's holding them together," Darryl said, his whiskey breath now falling on Michaela's neck as the sharpened outline of a face pressed itself through the paper. "I'll go downstairs and look for some spackle," Michaela's mother sang from the kitchen as Michaela grasped and peeled away a strip where the face had just been. Michaela applied more steam, and when she was ready, she gripped yet another edge and started to pull. This time, the paper, instead of tearing, began to stretch away from the wall. It bulged and formed a kind of pouch, and when it had stretched enough, something the size of a man dropped into it as though into a womb. The hand that had grasped at her now slit a nail through the softened paper, like a reptile using its egg tooth, opening a window into its greasome world. Michaela's heart began to drum against the inside of her chest. "I found some other wallpaper down here, you two," Michaela's mother called from downstairs. "This one has got some real nice flowers." "What do you think? Want to put up some flowers?" Daryl said from behind. At the same time, the paper in Michaela's hands finally gave way and tore a little more. "You are such an asshole," Michaela said. She pulled harder now and moved her head just in time to avoid a swipe across her face. Seeing inside the creature's world now, bubbles of acid mud rose into domes before bursting back into the swamp from which they came. "Bunch of stupid flowers would be better than this," Michaela said, brushing back against Daryl as she placed one foot on the wall for leverage and continued to pull. "Hand me that chair," Michaela said. "I need to get up high." "Why should I?" "For fuck's sake, just give me the chair. Just give me the one thing that I ask for." Daryl laughed and pulled over the chair he had sat on to eat his lunch. "Consider it a gift." "Thanks," Michaela said and quickly stepped up. The paper was coming away now, all of it. Unless she acted fast, though, the creature that was caught in the swelling between their two worlds might come spilling through the gap it had made. "I still need your help, Daryl. Just come up here with me for a second," Michaela said, at the sound of her mother's footsteps returning up the stairs, and as the creature from the wallpaper pushed itself close and tasted the scent of Michaela's sweat. "I don't know what you think this will accomplish," Daryl said. "You, meddling with things here." He didn't step up like Michaela had asked, but moved instead to a spot just in front of the chair. "Ever since you were that snotty little kid who tried to call me Dad." "That's fine. Right there," Michaela said. "Mitch? Daryl? Do you want to see what I found?" "I do, Mom. I want to see it," Michaela said, reaching up to the top of the wall and getting ready to rip the paper down in one last tear. "Just give me a second. I'm almost done." From in front of her, Daryl opened his mouth to speak. "Shh." Michaela hushed, and as Daryl looked up, Michaela pulled at the paper with all her strength. "Come on up, Mom," Michaela called, just as the paper began to come away. With the paper in her hands like a flag and one edge still attached to the wall, Michaela jumped down behind Daryl and pushed. "What the fuck?" Daryl said as he fell towards the wall. "Where's your stepfather?" Michaela's mother asked as Michaela wadded up the last strip of paper and held it tightly together in a ball. "I think he went back to work," Michaela said, pressing the wad into the ribbons of other wallpaper at her feet. "Did he say what time he'd be done tonight?" "No," Michaela said, pushing the paper into her mother's hands to throw out. "But he did want me to tell you not to wait up." Thank you. Thank you so much for listening.
Our featured performer tonight is Missy D. Missy D is a bilingual hip-hop, rap, and soul artist who has released 2 music albums. When Music Hits, You Feel No Pain, and Yes Mama. Coming from the 3 corners of the motherland, Rwanda, Côte d'Ivoire, Zimbabwe, Missy has been rapping since she was 11 years old in both French and English. She calls it rap and soul, as it is a fusion of sounds of her childhood, from French melodies to R&B, soul, jazz, hip-hop, and rap legends. As a Black cis woman, Missy represents a visible minority that at times is invisible to the world. You will hear the sounds of MC Solar, Diams, Erykah Badu, India Arie, J. Cool, Missy Elliott, and Lauryn Hill echoing through her voice. Her second album was published in March 2020, and its release party was canceled due to COVID pandemic restrictions, so Missy dropped a music video for her song, Yes Mama, and it is now available on her YouTube channel. You can find out more about Missy at missydmusic.com, Instagram handle Missy D Music. Welcome, Missy D.
Hello, my name is Missy D. I'm a hip-hop, rap, and soul artist based on the land of the Squamish slaves within Musqueam peoples. I want to honor my indigenous communities, my BIPOC communities. Happy anniversary, Surrey Muse. Thank you for having me. And I'm going to take you on a journey with these songs. This first one being Home. And it's called Home Part 4 because 10 years later, this is what home means to me, and hope you like this. Bienvenue à la maison, mi casa, su casa, chez moi. Radio's on, we listening to my kidba. No need to say goodbye, I see you later. Remember the times like bata bata. You teasing me like what's the matter? Your game's on like you working for FIFA. Yes, we be gunners, repping to the TV. Oh, Mr. Vanger, the memories escape me. I'm writing in and out, not to forget it. Hoping the song takes me home. See, home is where I belong. Home is where I belong. Papa, ça fait longtemps qu'on se voit pas. Je n'ai pas l'avance d'y croire. Est-ce chez moi? Home is where, j'essaie de le définir. Tu sais que j'aime pas vraiment choisir. Finalement, cette lettre, elle va s'écrire. Ma thérapeute dit lui tout et sois franche. Je prends mon stylo à cœur et je commence. Mais comment est-ce que j'explique que cette souffrance, c'est le deuil qui recommence. C'est comme une vague, elle s'approche, elle repart, elle avance. Prends ton temps, un pas de pas en avant. Je retourne à la maison. Take me home. See, home is where I belong. Home is where I belong. Yeah. 2 flights, 2 luggages, separated from the ones you love. To learn some knowledge, is it? Take that chance you have in your hands. Privilege and make yes all you can. The cards you are dealt with have a plan. Look to the sky and fight. Look to the sky and fight. See, home is what came. Suddenly identify my identity, not true. The words I speak, I close my eyes and pick the pick of what is home to me, a place of LOVE. Fun friends and family, like we say. I'm recollecting all my memories, childhood to days like these. Yeah, I'm recollecting all my memories, childhood to days like these. Yeah, so take me home. Yeah, home is where I belong. Home is where I belong. Yeah. You take me home. See, home is where I belong. Home is where I belong. So if you're sitting at home, sing it with me like home is where I belong. If you're longing for us, home is where I belong. If you're feeling out, home is where I belong. Sing it with me like home is where I belong. Yeah, home is where I belong. Hey, hey, home is where I belong. Belong. I call it home. See, home is where I belong. Home is you, my friends. Home is in the song you listening to. Home is where I belong. Home is you, my friends. Home is in the song you listening to. Home. So that's what Home Part 4 is all about. Longing for home, homesickness, and giving a shout out to where my home is. This next song is called Paint. I just talked about home. It was also about grief. And sometimes I put all those feelings into my music, and I call that paint. And sometimes it's good to release that music, to let it out, to speak it out into existence. And I hope you find ways to do that for yourself. And this one's for you. Paint, yeah, it goes like paint, paint, paint. All I do is paint. Missy D got paint. Brush it off with paint, yeah. See, I don't think you understand that my pain is your pain, and I paint it again. Yeah. See, I don't think you understand. Yeah. but this my mama's mamas. Home my papa's papas. Been in us 4 years, no need to stop it or add any commas. The stories unfold like there's no need to cover. Judged by the book or what's really on the color. Diamond in the rough, I'm the sun with the thunder. The Michelangelo, but who is she? Wanna know more now? Beyond, east side, left eye. The scars, the tears, no surprise. More to the story that meets you and I guess I carry more than just your smile. See, I don't think you understand. That my pain is your pain and I paint it again. Yeah. See, I don't think you understand. That my pain is your pain and I paint it again. See, your mirror, mirror, pain in my past, present, in my future. Who did the dishes to make it any cleaner? Is this a different dimension? A deja vu that is yours, both my curse and my blessing. All the empathy that I'm feeling got me bundled up a sponge. Saved by this hip hop. When music hits, you feel no pain. Got my brush on my mic and these paintings. I keep painting like I don't think you understand. That my pain is your pain and I paint it again. Yeah. I don't think you understand. That my pain is your pain and I paint it again. So if you're feeling pain, so we healing our pain. 32 paint. Healing our pain. 32 paint. We're healing our pain. 32 paint. Healing our pain. 32 pain. Brush it off with pain. Missy D got pain. All I do is paint. God rock with me like paint. See, I don't think you understand. Express yourself. That my pain is your pain and I paint it again. Yeah, ask for help. See, I don't think you understand. That my pain is your pain and I paint it again. Paint. Yeah. Find yours, find what gives you joy. Express yourself and know that we're here for you. This next song, we just talked about paint, and then, sometimes life has these ups and downs and it makes you feel like you're on a roller coaster or something. But what I've been learning this past year is that I'm going to try to roll with these waves, with these ups and downs, and keep it rolling, 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 rolling. See, I'm trying to figure out who I am. I'm trying to figure out all my pain. I've been shot, but the wound keeps changing. Some days are okay, some days are different. I wake up on the right side of what's broken. Is it clear to my eyes or my thoughts then? Oh, this life is a ride and I'm rolling. Oh, this life is a ride and I'm rolling. I'm rolling like the waves of the ocean. I'm falling another side to being human. I'm hoping for love and change in the end. Up and down, I'ma come back again. See, up and down, I'ma come back again. I'm rolling, yeah, yeah. I'm rolling, yeah, yeah. I'm rolling, yeah, yeah. I'm rolling in deep like Adele did it though. Submerging my thoughts while I come up and expose. Trying to figure out my role among the roots of tribes of lasso. I'm a kid from the new school, but I'm down with the old. Cut out of line, well, that's a hug to my soul. Tried by Medusa's eyes, think I'm a rolling stone. Like Tina, I'm turning and rolling as I go. Proud Mary, Hail Mary, got some angels above. Went to bed on the high, woke up, yes, on the low. Some people see the lights and forget the shadows. Gotta call just in time from one of my heroes. Yes, mama, yes, it's a full circle. Roll it up, get it up, I need to pick it up, huh? Find a way to bounce it up if you don't let it out, huh? I'm rolling up and down, what goes around, huh? This life is right, keep going, come back now. I'm rolling rolling. Yeah, yeah, I'm rolling. Yeah, yeah, I'm rolling. Yeah, yeah, I'm rolling. I'm rolling. So hope you keep rolling. We keep rolling together. Okay, this next song is a special one. I'm actually working on a French project right now, thanks to David Tallarico, who's filming. Shout out to you in the Beat Cave. And this song explains my love for music, my love for hip-hop, which actually started in French, for people that don't want to know. So this one is called Case départ, which means back to square one. If you know how to say one in French, huh? You got it. You know how to say two? Good. But you know how to say three? Trois. You might be able to sing to this. So we're gonna give you some old school hip hop, but in French. Let's go like this. It goes 1, 2, 3, on y va, on y va. 4, 5, 6, bébé, on a du bis. 7, 8, 9, dans mon panier 10. C'est le son de ma musique, je calcule et j'en profite. It goes 1, 2, 3, on y va, on y va. 4, 5, 6, bébé, on a du bis. 7, 8, 9, dans mon panier 10. C'est le son de ma musique, je calcule et j'en profite. Bonjour, je me présente, je m'appelle Diane. Missy D les étonne, la petite francophone. Retourne au commencement, ouais, le fait franchement. En français pour la famille et pour maman. Fanatique de home comme Sola, Baby Love Son. Poétique à ça, bon anglais sur les mélodies. Je sors de ma bulle aujourd'hui, effet pandémie ou nostalgie. Je suis prêt à vos marques, casées par 1, 2, 3, on y va, on y va. 4, 5, 6, bébé, on a du bis. 7, 8, 9, dans mon panier 10. C'est le son de ma musique, je calcule et j'en profite. Like, ooh, let me drop some French and some English too. I know you ready to say, comment allez-vous? Playing with the rhythm and falling with the groove. Hip-hop c'est ma lave en français, c'est le grand amour. À la folie, à la passion, de jour au jour, chaque moment. Le son m'attrape et m'emporte, me signe et me raconte. Il était du poids autrefois. Ce que t'entends c'est ma mémoire, le début de mon histoire. Oh, hey. Du naughty bad nature au school à aventure, toi-même tu sais. C'est le rythme qui te fait hocher, un trip foncé. Style olympique sur scène, aussi rapide que scène. Beauté, je danse sur les mélodies, saute comme le fait Gabi, Serena, Naomi. Match point poétique du 5e à son 2021. Vous êtes bien témoins, je suis de retour à 1, 2, 3, on y va, on y va. 4, 5, 6, bébé, on a du bise. 7, 8, 9, dans mon panier 10. C'est le son de ma musique, je calcule et j'en profite. Comme 1, 2, 3, on y va, on y va. 4, 5, 6, bébé, on a du bise. 7, 8, 9, dans mon panier 10. C'est le son de ma musique. French class, let's go. It goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Le retour à 1, case départ. Le retour à 1, it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Le retour à 1, case départ. Le retour à 1, it goes 1, 2, 3. You got it. 4, 5, 6. Voilà. 7, 8, 9, 1, 1. Et 10. Bébé. Goes 1, 2, 3, on y va, on y va. 4, 5, 6, bébé, on a du bis. 7, 8, 9, dans mon panier 10. C'est le son de ma musique, je calcule et j'en profite. 1, 2, 3, on y va, on y va. 4, 5, 6, bébé, on a du bis. 7, 8, 9, dans mon panier 10. C'est le son de ma musique, je calcule et j'en profite. Diane. Bonjour les amis. Look at y'all speak French. All right, this next song is one of the last songs I wrote recently, and it's about, finding yourself, finding your own garden, and knowing that you can be shining, not being afraid of your own light. And I want to dedicate all this song to you. Hope you keep shining, hope you keep glowing, and yeah, hope you feel it. If you have a candle out there, turn it up. Glow as a light, here I go, leaning on you when my tide's low. I'm suddenly see something special. That golden hour, greeted by sunrise, sunshine, got you smiling, beaming, and I'm only starting out. Feeling down to earth, but I'm finally flying. Freedom, let it shine, let it go, let it go, let it go. Together we will glow, glow. Keep shining out, glow, glow. pick up the pieces now, picking up the flowers, huh? Guess what I found? Don't stop, keep going young, keep going young. A new version on the horizon, sunset into yourself. Enjoy the view while you're there. Like Francis said, goodness takes time. Gardens grow slowly. I reap what I saw, hoping to feed my community. Feels like a long time coming, hidden in place, not trying to land now. Sounds of the underground, rooted in my purpose. Nothing like you heard. Music found us, and with these notes find ourselves. Not knowing where we go, I guess the seed has a soul. Even in the darkness, in the daylight, in the gardens, in the clouds, in the darkness, in the daylight, in the gardens, together we will glow, glow. Keep shining, yeah, glow, glow. Hey, it goes. In the darkness, in the daylight, in the gardens, in the clouds, in the darkness, in the daylight, in the gardens, together we will glow, glow, glow. Together we will glow, glow. Keep shining now, glow, glow, glow. Keep shining now, glow, glow. Keep shining, yo. Keep shining. You are light. You are power. You are your garden, your village, your community. And we got one last track for y'all. That's right. We're here with our last song. I want to thank you, Surrey Muse, for having me. And I want to dedicate this one to all our matriarchs, all my motherland, my mama, your mama, our angels. And this is called Yes Mama. If you like what you heard today, go check out this song. Go check out this EP. And make sure you tell your loved one you love them. So it goes like this. Enter the room like he knows who we are. Full of young Earth, Venus, up to Mars. See, I'm extraterrestrial. I'm alive on Earth, but also quietly third killer boss. Dropping bars like a dead lift up in my spirit. Killing me is above the limit. Run on one spool bit. Got the ring, call me the hope, and I need to be explicit. Someone call me a doctor. I'm a good birth, a lyrical monster. I'm first out of my job with my delivery. Bruce still flow past the cipher. Misery coming on couple with a dream with a dollar. Missy D surrounded by a fella. Boutique refer back to an Afro good beat. See, I gotta sing it for the motherland, so that they really, really understand. I hope mama is listening. We celebrating your wisdom, singing yes mama, yes mama. He goes like yes mama, yes mama. Okay, like yes mama, yes mama. Okay, like yes mama, yes mama. Got a lot on mind right now, nothing you but I pause sometime. You press, rewind, look back to last month. Like, what is time? Yo, give me the seconds or give me the runner. Give me the review, the preview, the sequel. I felt like I dream of living another life. I need a DJ play and save it fast, huh? With a bit of melody, with poetry, with thoughts upon what would be. Can I put some metaphors? Give me more lectures, laugh it off. Quite unsure, something wrong, the clock is done. I shot myself to come back strong. I feel lost the battle, I just won. I feel lost the battle, I just won. I'm trying to send my life right now, I need a second somehow. I'm trying to stand white right now, I need a second somehow. I'ma call up mama, hey, bless me with your wisdom. And she sing and we sing, yes mama, yes mama. He goes like yes mama, yes mama. Okay, like yes mama, yes mama. Okay, like yes mama, yes mama. So if you're listening to this tonight, like I said, I hope you call someone up today. You message them, you text them, whoever's sitting next to you, and you let them know that you love them. And for me, that happens to be Maman. Is that you? Allô maman, cette chanson ouais c'est pour toi. Ouais une chanson, cette chanson ouais c'est pour toi. Allô maman, cette chanson ouais c'est pour toi. Ouais une chanson, cette chanson ouais c'est pour toi. Singing yes mama, yes mama. Okay like yes mama, yes mama. That's right, yes mama, yes mama. Okay like yes mama, yes mama. Mama, yes mama, yes mama. Okay like yes mama, yes mama. That's right like yes mama, yes mama. Okay like yes mama, yes mama. Mama. Yes, Mama. Thank you for having me. My name is Missy D. All my blessings to you, Surrey Muse. All my blessings to people watching. Much love. Take care of yourselves and each other. Peace.
Our open mic opener tonight is Catherine Lewis. Catherine Lewis is a Chinese-Canadian writer and poet. She is the author of the poetry chapbook Zipless from 2021 by 845 Press, and she was a finalist in the Fiddleheads and the Humber Literary Review's Creative Nonfiction Collective Society's Creative Nonfiction Contests in 2021. A graduate of the Writers' Studio at Simon Fraser University and the Vancouver Manuscript Intensive, she attended the Banff Centre Literary Arts Residency, Poetry, Politics, and Embodiment in fall 2021. Born in Hong Kong and raised in Canada, Catherine lives in Vancouver on the traditional unceded territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh peoples. You can find out more about Catherine at catherinewriter.com. Follow Catherine on Twitter at cat_rights_604. Welcome, Catherine Lewis.
Hi, everyone. This evening, I'm so honored to have the opportunity to read for Surrey Muse once again. Thank you so much to Fauzia for the invitation and for all of the tremendous work you put into this series. And to my fellow readers and performers, it's an honor to read alongside everyone tonight. Tonight, I'll be reading some poems from my debut poetry chapbook, Zipless, that was just published by 845 Press. The first poem I'll be reading for you this evening is entitled Red Shoes. To think to buy my first Valentino shoes on Valentine's Day, 2,000 miles from home, by Newport Beach's flaming orange sunset. As one stage in my fertility journey ends, today the 10th and final time ova are surgically plucked from my body, without anesthetic, at this California New Age last-ditch clinic. I don't plan to care about ovulation again, no matter how this motherhood story ends. And Mama needs a new pair of shoes to commemorate this day. Shiny, red, 4-inch stilettos, trimmed with spiky gold pyramid studs, for several days take-home pay, which is insane. But one pair of shoes is more than I've ever had to show for all I've spent on fertility drugs. Girls' night out with new dance class friends, all unencumbered by motherhood. I walk 5 minutes in sleek maroon dress, red heels. Binge on high-end steak cocktails at sparkling Yaletown Boîte. Before we hop to next night spot, watch friends fend off men who try to dance with us. As the girls pass around, coveted cigarette on bus stop bench, they stare down at my feet. Cat, I can't believe you wore those shoes all night, they gasp. I swear I'm fine, I insist. Though big toenail throbs for weeks before falling off, it still hurts less than if I'd stayed in touch with old friends who became soccer moms and left me behind. Stumble home from my birthday dinner. Last selfie of red shoes capping off red skin-tight dress. Right stiletto now missing rubber tip, only raw metal left. For I had felt my stiletto catch between the cobblestones that get me every time. Cobbler refreshes both heel tips for a mere $15. Small price to pay to preserve last faint hope I once had of motherhood. The next poem I have for you is entitled Blue Shoes. You step into my apartment, point to red stilettos I splurged on, and tell me I have the same ones in blue. Sentiment only a fellow femme would express. You mother, I'm a little bit butch, wouldn't you say? I'm not sure if you're being facetious in your futchy way. I've only seen you in Converse and jeans. You left your good clothes back east. Clothes your mom will bring soon to check on her firstborn. Aftermath of your unexpected hospital stay. If you were my daughter, I know what I'd say. Dear, you haven't found a job yet, after all these months here, and now you're moving out of this rented room with nowhere to go? You count on one hand the friends you've made, even if I count myself. But I don't. Because I can't imagine you telling your mom the only person you've met worth dating this long is an already partnered up girl with no room for you to move in. No matter how much this girl spoils you with La Durée cakes and macarons and MoMA pop-up Christmas cards. Your mom's still upset you no longer fast at Ramadan like a good daughter should. How do you expect her to put up with you still dating girls? You take so long to text me back, holed up in that hotel room with your mom. I wonder if she's whisked you back east for good. The next poem I have for you is entitled Terminological Quibbles. So, you've had girlfriends then, she asks, Spanish red wine in hand. I don't think that's the word I would use, I reply, my bare calves tucked under short skirt, politely sipping the same red on her roommate's cream brocade couch. I've had a lot of first dates, nothing that ever reached the level of a girlfriend. She claims me the rest of the night with experience, lips and hands, pouting as I leave her cubicle next morning. I'm too ashamed to admit no other woman has tried to kiss me. Online dating stream of micro-rejections filters you out before after pour over coffee. I swipe my card for us both before a waitress's card machine crosses the table. What? Did you just pay for me? She exclaims. Thank you so much. I'll get it next time. And I'm surprised that there really is a next date. That when we're out, we plan to meet again. Like you, I'm up for anything, I say. She corrects me. I'm not up for anything. I'm up for love. I remain silent, stare down at her in bed, silence her with a kiss. This is the only time we speak of love in any tense but her past. Not once does talk spring from our lips about whether she's my girlfriend. At support group for late-blooming sapphics, I try out the term girlfriend. Cringe and giggle when I hear it falter off my lips. I don't know what to call her when people ask how things are going with this girl I'm seeing, who asked me to come visit her back east during our farewell kiss at Denman and Davy. Last weekend at Dance Studio's party, I spy a pair of ladies kissing. Still of no outside queer women's spaces. I make conversation with the girl I don't know. Are you with our studio too? I ask. No, I'm dating Tara. Yes, of course. Have you tried our dance classes yet? No, I just moved here from back east. That's where my ex-girlfriend moved back to, I tell her. Only time I've let this phrase slip past my lips. Ex-girlfriend, the verbal marker that separates me from straight girls who use girlfriend for platonic BFFs. An accidental verbal affront to women who fuck when our romantic relationships are mistaken for just friends? How to casually mention your unexpected orientation. According to Google, just say, my ex-girlfriend. Shorthand that I'm one of us. Each day of silence stretches us from being long distance, me secretly looking up airfare, to her being my ex-girlfriend who moved away and never got in touch again. The final poem I have for you tonight is entitled Holiday Drink. Starbucks app. Too tired to pick a new drink today. I hit the reorder screen. Juniper latte displays. Alongside a warning triangle in red with bold red text. Out of season. Though I bought it just last week. Nearly a month past Groundhog Day. Paper cup still on my cubicle desk. It's the only Starbucks drink I've had with you. That time us girls crawled out of your warm twin bed on Boxing Day morning to walk the dog, and Max already had one accident last week when you slept in. Full makeup still on from night before, I never dare let you see my face bare. I stood outside Starbucks, held the leash, felt like family. Skulked away after Max peed on Starbucks' metal table legs. I can't even be trusted for a minute. You emerged with the juniper latte I requested. Did not make fun of my silly drink. That must offend your European sensibilities. As we inhaled our chocolate croissants, once back in your warm bed. That was the last time I woke up with you. I hadn't realized we were just a Christmas romance, that we would now be out of season. Thank you so much for listening, everyone.
Our just released presenter tonight is Kagan Goh. Kagan Goh is an author, award-winning filmmaker, multidisciplinary artist, playwright, actor, mental health advocate, and an activist. Originally from Singapore, he is a respected and established voice in Vancouver's literary community. In 1993, at the age of 23, he was diagnosed with manic depression. In his new poetic memoir, Surviving Samsara, published by Caitlin Press in 2021, Kagan recounts his struggles with manic depression, breaking the silence around mental illness, as he wanders through the highs of mania, the terrors of psychosis, and the lows of depression. From the welfare office to the hospital ward, and many places in between, Kagan struggles to discern the difference between mental health breakdowns and spiritual breakthroughs. Facing his experiences with courage and authenticity, he shares memoirs of family altercations, pushed to the brink of living on the street, and psychiatrist visits. In this work, he explores his diagnosis of bipolar mood disorder not only as a medical condition, but as a spiritual emergence, a vehicle for personal growth, healing, and transcendence. Earlier, in 2012, Select Books in Singapore published his poetic memoir, Who Let in the Sky, that focused upon his relationship with his father. Kagan's documentary films include the award-winning Mindfuck from 1996 and Stolen Memories from 2012. Both have been broadcast on national television and viewed in film festivals across Canada. You can find out more about Kagan's book at caitlin-press.com and follow Kagan on Twitter at Go Kagan. Thank you so much. Kagan Goh, welcome.
Hello, my name is Kagan Goh, and I'm the featured author in this Surrey Muse's just released edition of November 2021. I would like to thank Mariam Zohra and Fawzia Rafiq for inviting me to appear on this show. I'm going to be talking and reading excerpts from my newly published memoir, Surviving Samsara by Kagan Goh, published by Caitlin Press, Caitlin Press, a memoir of breakdowns, breakthroughs, and mental illness. Essentially, the book chronicles a 28-year journey of recovery from mental illness, namely bipolar mood disorder, also known as manic depression. It follows me through the roller coaster ride of a 28-year journey of recovery through the highs of mania, the terrors of psychosis, and the lows of depression, and gives intimate insights into an insider's experience of madness. It also deals with the stigma, prejudice, and discrimination that people with mental health challenges face on a daily basis. I'm going to dedicate this reading to my beloved wife and love of my life, Julia Hoagland Goh, without whom I would not know the meaning of unconditional love. I'm reading from the eponymous story, Surviving Samsara, which is the prologue to the book, which appears later on in the book, sort of a flash forward prologue. December 26, 2000. My mind is consumed by raging fire. I scream in excruciating pain. Leaning over the edge of the Broad Street Bridge, I am tempted to jump into Falls Creek to extinguish the flames. I climb onto the railing. I balance atop it, looking down. The water sparkles like a diamond tiara as I spin the roulette wheel of samsara. I must extinguish my anguish. I turn back to see the world one last time. The bright sunny morning mocks me. It is annoyingly cheerful. The traffic flies past me, oblivious to my plight. I am one insignificant man in an overpopulated planet of 7 billion suffering souls desiring death. My head spins as I picture myself plummeting into the icy water, into oblivion. I walk the tightrope in my head, one false step, and I'm dead. So essentially, this is a true life story that happened to me over the last 28 years, charting my journey of recovery. This book speaks to many people, not just people with mental health challenges, but their friends, family, and loved ones. Basically, no one's lives are untouched by mental illness. Mental illness affects everyone. So this book represents and speaks to a large demographic. Just in case you're interested in finding out what my shirt is about, it says from mental health to mental wealth. This is my Mad Pride t-shirt. This is my Mad Pride logo that I designed. It's got the smiley face on one side and the frowny face on the other, kind of a modification of the happy smiley face, kind of representing the theater emblem of drama and tragedy. This represents mania and this represents depression, kind of like the cyclical nature of the interdependence of the yin-yang symbol, which this is a modification of part of the human condition. And at the back of my shirt, my personal logo, Mad Love and Love Madly. So with that, I will leave you, and I wish you health, wealth, happiness, peace, love, prosperity, tranquility, love, abundance, and all good things. Mad love and love madly, all my relations.
Hello, Surrey Muse. Happy 10 years. Thanks for letting me read to you today. My name is Jessica Lee McMillan. I'm just reading two poems that were published recently in Goat's Milk magazine. The first is called The Anatomy of a Funeral, or The Anatomy of a Sidewalk. Tombstones in concrete ribbon, the standard issue funeral option, like ashes in a cardboard box, are aggregate mixtures of concrete, sprawl a parade through life and death we can't commemorate. The horizontal texture sets the tone for every street, like every memorial. Each fine horizontal line strains eye to next expansion joint, dutifully stepped over lest a spine you break, the spaces you went rogue, left out of the eulogy. Courteous platitudes and no reminders of an untimely end in lieu of flowers, paths trawled clean to keep appearances neat. Held from the lip, slipped into the gutter, down the steel grate, the surfaces of psyche, the wood forms we fill, the coercion rebar, hiding the quakes, the defiance of footprints cast in wet, unfinished selves, beg for grass, beg for a roast, not a speech. The next poem is A Gathering of Leaves. On a shelf of volumes bound to me, binding, I extend vertebrae, the body a gathering of sewn leaves, limbs of multiple endings, luminous spines in column palette. Either way, verticals to heaven, covers tattooed with lofty cursive, folding in worlds for open palms. Under my jacket, I spill anatomy, vellum skin, organ of written word, backbone stacked in raised bands up to my ink cartridge tongue, inscribing paper in scars. Nose of vanilla musk, porous pulp under fingertip, text to nerve ends from cellulose walls, acid pregnant and hinge split by chemistry of inherent constituents. Tactile script imprints fingers in fleeting archaeology of touch. In the falling of leaves harbors the word, in a cycle of autumns, in the demise and rebirth of book, the body ever writes is written. Thank you.
This next poem is titled Vortex. And it is in its entirety a metaphor for the failure of modern day medicine.
Yes.
The ocean knew of nature's karmic destructive coup. A freakish, stationary Category 5 that blew to remind mankind of a thing or two. As homes were flattened and furniture flew, the homeless wandered and waded through murky waters no longer blue. People screamed they knew, which amused an uninsured but comfortable few who paced all night in a waiting room queue. Discharged in the morning without a clue. carrying fistfuls of antibiotics. Yeah. Thank you.
I was born on the third phase of a waning moon, on a dark day in November. She said, I had the wrath of 1,000,000 ravens in my womb. She was not ready. A voice proclaimed beyond my mother's knowing. She said, I was an omen come alive, spread across her shrinking world, and I will live on, for you made me endless. She said I was the harbinger of her pain, and a witch to the gray moon of her clever madness. And a witch to the gray moon of her clever madness. Lay down, but do not go to sleep.
Unholy prayer.
Sometimes life seems like a dead end. I will bless you. I will not tether you to an unholy prayer. You move in mysterious ways. Even if it aches, this heart will bathe in the grace of you. A slow, synchronized dance. We move to the same rhythm, reading each other's lips. dead end.